We now know what our next major objective is in the game at this point. The old woman from the Seal Temple, she basically said we need to get three things, the three flames from the various regions. And that's going to be our next overarching goal. And it's sort of in line with how the Zelda formula has worked for the most part. Historically, there's always three sort of collectibles, three things you need to do at the beginning of the game, and then there's a significant plot twist of sorts. It wasn't as direct to that formula this time around, but we did have three dungeons to go through: the Skyview Temple, the Earth Temple, and then the Lanayru mining facility. And now that those three temples were done away with, we got the plot twist, and now we have an entirely new mission. And this mission is finding the three flames. The old woman did say that somebody in the Knight Academy knows about the Ballad of the Goddess, which is actually the same song that we heard at the very beginning of the game. Zelda was actually singing it when we first met her. So you want to head on over and speak with Gaypora. He's over at in his room within the Knight Academy during the day, and I like how he's very unreactive towards the trouble that Zelda is in. But and then when you ask him about the lyrics, if you ask him to sing it, he's like, "Oh no, I can't sing, no." But it's like he's more worried about being ashamed to sing than his own daughter. Kind of strange. Anyway, he repeats the lyrics. We heard these lyrics early on in the quest. Like I said, Zelda was singing it when we first met her. Actually, before we first met her. It was the first time we saw her. So he gives you the lyrics, and he eventually gives you a little hint too, as well, in relation to the lyrics. And he talks about the light tower. The light tower is found in the plaza, basically, of Skyloft, and that's the large tower that we've seen several times. Although it also mentions two wheeling sails. Two sails. It's not crystal clear what this is, but you could sort of figure it out if you've basically examined your way through much of Skyloft. It's referring to the two windmills that are also in Skyloft. The first of which is located just south of the Knight Academy. So you can exit through either of the floors and just head down the ramp here and just follow along this pathway, and to the right you will come across the first of the windmills. If you haven't noticed it before, well, now you notice it. There is a pinwheel of sorts that is connected to the back of the windmill, and if you use your gust bellows, you can spin the windmill, and what you really want to do is turn it so that it is facing the light tower. Then a light will be illuminated, and this one will be in place. There is a second one of these windmills. It's all the way in the residential area of Skyloft at the far east portion of the island, and it's not really one of the areas that gets much activity, since you really don't even have to come to this windmill at all, other than this one specific time. But once you reach it, you'll find that the pinwheel thing is missing. So Jackamar is standing right here, and he mentions, like, what are you trying to do with this windmill and such, and eventually he tells you that the propeller, which I was referring to, the pinwheel propeller, they're sort of similar. The propeller has gone missing, and it's been long missing, and it fell somewhere between somewhere underneath the clouds, and thus the windmill has sort of been stuck in place ever since the windmill propeller went missing. And then Fi, of course, gives you the most obvious piece of advice: we need to find the propeller, if that wasn't as crystal clear as it seemed. But the question is, how do we find such a propeller? And Jackamar seems to raise that same question, although he does give you a suggestion that Gondo, the guy over at the scrap shop, somewhere in his family they used to have a flying robot, and it seems like it's like a tale that's been passed down. But from the way people sound, if you like ask around and talk about it with some people, it seems everybody thinks that he's kind of crazy. Like, oh, there's nothing below the clouds, and you can't have a robot go and fetch things for you. But well, we are going to do just that. So for now, just run on over to the bazaar, and we need to head on over and talk to him. In order to progress here, you need to have at least one of the ancient flowers that we got in the Lanayru mining facility, or in the Lanayru desert. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. But if you head on over and speak with Gondo, he has a bubble over his head, and Link can start asking him about the old robot. And if you actually visited Gondo's house, like at nighttime, it shows him like tinkering with the thing, and apparently he can't quite get it to work though. But over here, now when you talk to him, he eventually says, he's first of all, he's grateful that you actually believe him, but he doesn't really know how to bring him back to life. He does mention that the name of the robot is Scrapper, which it's sort of a fitting name given what he will do for you, but he sort of is upset that it's like a piece of junk. He doesn't know how to fix it. But then he mentions the ancient flower, and since we have an ancient flower, Link will be able to give him one, and then Gondo will get all happy and he'll go and fix the robot. This will trigger a pretty funny cutscene, well, after Scrapper has been fixed, between Gondo, Link, Scrapper, and our good friend Fi. So I'll let you guys watch this and just read this one yourself, because it's kind of fun. So for some reason, Scrapper really dislikes Link. He calls him Master Short Pants, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And but on the same token, Scrapper seems to really like Fi, and is willing to pretty much do anything for her. And he even refers to her as Mistress Fi. So it seems now we do have the means of getting the propeller. Furthermore, Fi has placed the propeller as one of your dowsing items. It's just a matter of finding where it is. You could speak to the fortune teller here, or if you're watching this video, then you really don't need to speak to the fortune teller. You can just watch the video and find out what the fortune teller is saying. Point being, we can either way, you can figure out where you need to go. Uh, and the fortune teller says, allow me to gaze into your future. I see a propeller falling through a sea of clouds by a mountain of fire. Just down the mountain from the temple. So, a mountain, fire, near the temple. You can put those things together and find that the propeller is located near the Earth Temple in the Elden Volcano. So that's going to be our next destination. So you can go ahead and leave the bazaar, and don't worry about Scrapper following you or anything. I know I was sort of like thinking how to get him to go with you at first, but turns out that was a concern of mine that was not warranted. All you really need to do is go find the object you're looking for, and then Mistress Fi will go and call over Scrapper. So just head on over, and our next destination is over at the Elden Volcano. Once you arrive at the Elden Volcano, as was mentioned by the fortune teller, go ahead and use the temple entrance, the Earth Temple entrance. Well, it's just referred to as the temple entrance bird statue. And the propeller is located just to the left if you are facing the temple. And we actually saw this propeller much earlier on in the quest, and I actually made note of it, actually saying we will be returning to this in the future. When we got this was the second key to enter the Earth Temple. It was located right here, and you could have seen the propeller right there before. So this is the Windmill Propeller. One thing I don't really understand is Link, can use his inventory for all these different items. I mean, he can carry 3 shields and 5 bottles at the same time, for goodness sake. Why can't he carry a Windmill Propeller? Sure, it's heavier, but, I mean, in past Zelda games he's been able to carry iron boots. It doesn't really make much logical sense. Perhaps because the propeller is not an item, but I don't know. It's not really that big, it doesn't seem. But either way, Mistress Fi will call over Scrapper. I just feel the need to call her Mistress now every single time. But either way, Scrapper will come over, pick up the propeller, and he'll run on off or fly on off back to the sky. So now at this point, there's really nothing for us to do here in the Elden region. So just, although there is actually one thing, I misspoke. There are some blessed butterflies flying near the ledge over here. And as we learned from Gorko the Goron, whenever you see blessed butterflies from this point on, you should always play your harp, and a gossip stone will appear. And one thing the gossip stones do whenever they pop up from underground, they'll always give you treasure. Furthermore, you can talk to them and they'll give you some advice. Sometimes the advice is stuff you already know, or it's rather pointless or not very valuable. In fact, most of the time that's what it is. But it's cool nonetheless. Anyway, that's pretty much going to do it here in the Elden region. So run on over to the bird statue and return to the sky. Immediately when you enter the sky, you will find Scrapper is not far behind. And Scrapper will pretty much just follow you at this point. So just ride on over to the main island, to Skyloft. And as you draw near, you don't even have to worry about like landing properly or even going to the right area at all. You'll just automatically appear and land, and you're basically right by the windmill, more or less. And Scrapper will follow suit and will drop the windmill propeller right on the ground. Jackamar will immediately get to work and will put the windmill propeller into the windmill. So this will finally allow you to control the second windmill. And this is a quest that I actually enjoyed in this game. I know a lot of times people might think this is just almost like a fetch quest or just additional, like, why can't you just spin both windmills at the same time? But I actually thought it was good for like character development in a sense, because it involved Jackamar Gondo, Scrapper, the Fortune Teller, and Fi all in one, and it gives you a sense of how the characters interact with each other and build character. So this is one of my favorite things in Skyward Sword, these types of things. Anyway, after Jackamar finishes with the Windmill Propeller, go ahead and use the Gust Bellows just like before to spin the pinwheel or propeller. I don't really know what the big difference is between propeller and pinwheel. Pinwheel is, I guess, a plastic one, or I don't really know. Anyway, for some reason it spins the opposite way, so it takes an extra long time. But what we want to do is turn it so that it is facing the light tower near the plaza portion of Skyloft. And once you've done so, the light will trigger, and this will cause the light tower to rise up, revealing a new part of the light tower that we previously could not see. It's got like a fancy mirror and such. So right away, let's go investigate what is new over at the light tower. So just run on over, and if you haven't been to the light tower yet, it's, like I said, right next to the plaza, and there's just a ladder you can climb up. So just run on over to the light tower, climb the ladder, and then pull out your harp. If you stand right in the middle of the area, you can just strum away on your harp, and this will trigger a scene where you can play the Ballad of the Goddess alongside with Fi. This will also trigger a cutscene just after, so enjoy! So the beam of light sort of shoots into the northwest portion of the sky, which we previously could not access. So that's going to be our next destination. So join me for the next video, and we will go investigate what's in that area.